for this, my agenda for this month. Let me see if I have the agenda for this month. I'm gonna go back to the last. Okay, we don't have any public comments because no public is here.
Well,
So
we'll
we
start
need-
with the roll call.
Okay, the roll call. David, I'll let you do the roll call.
Okay, thank you. So when I call your name, just please say here for the record. Helen Nixon,
Here,
William Brown,
Here.
Victor Blanco,
Here.
Dexter Burke,
Here.
he's out of the
Here.
country. He's here. Okay,
thank you. Darlene Childs, William Cordero, Claudine Fox.
Darlene is here. I saw her. Okay,
She did log in. I don't see her present right now, but she was here earlier. I don't know if she has technical problems.
okay.
Patrice Howell, Ricky Martinez.
Here.
Got you, Patrice. Thank you. Naisha McCauley, Sandra Magara,
That's Sandra McGarrett.
Magara. Sandra's not on though, right?
Right.
Okay. I feel like I mispronounce her name every month, so I
It's,
gotta
it's,
work on that.
it's Magara with an H at the end.
Magara, got it. David Morin, Charles Teal Sr., Patricia Turola,
Here.
Lawrence Williams,
Here.
Hyacinth Yenny, and William Clark. Okay. We don't have a quorum, so we're not going to be able to get the approval of the minutes, but we can jump right into item number 4, Ms. Helen.
Okay, I just want to speak up for Charles Till because he's been trying to, he has another meeting. He's been saying that he definitely can't attend, and to let you all know, because another important meeting is at the same time. Okay, so he's not here, and that's why he's asking for a copy of the recording. Okay. Okay. So at this time, I'm going by the last one because I don't have an updated copy of the agenda. David, it's okay. We need the approval of the minutes from the last meeting.
We don't have a quorum, so we can't approve.
Oh, okay, okay, we just move on. Okay, could we just go on into the working group reports at this time? The first report, we're gonna hear from the Intersection Identification Committee, and the Darlene Childs is the chairperson. Darlene, are you here? Or Dexter? Bishop Burke?
I'm here. I'm just getting in back from Atlantic City, so I don't have a report if Darlene has one. It was not communicated to me. I can text her and see if she can try to get it. Okay.
I'll get her on the line.
Thank you.
Okay, why don't we just go on to Group 2, Service Provider Selection Committee.
Hello, folks. This is Victor. Personally, we've hit a little bit of a wall in regards to trying to get a response from the service providers. I've had to, I feel like I've had to sacrifice a little bit here. I have to actually create a Twitter account and try to reach out to Xerox that way to get a little, maybe more of a direct thing. I've avoided social media for a very, very, very long time up until now. And I think I'm gonna have to just cross that line because the other methods of the communication have either I've missed any kind of calls from any centralized, some unknown number. I mean, I've tried to answer every single one that came my way, but there's probably something that I've missed that they haven't left a message on, or much less any emails or anything like that. There was Mr. Teal. He had some thoughts on this, and I know he can't attend these meetings anymore right now because of other commitments. He had brought up concerns in about trying not basically to cut corners on the kind of service providers that we get. So, it does have an impact on the neighborhood much, and not just fleece them for in the city for money. So, and that's something that's definitely of the highest priority when trying to source out and pick a service provider to do this for us, because we don't want to end up as one of the statistics that you end up reading stories about later on. So yeah, I'm in the middle of typing up some clever tweet right now, see if I can get this thing going. I'm new to this, so nothing so much unfortunately yet on any kind of offer and or numbers from a service provider. I hopefully I'll have something within a week or so.
Victor, where is Xerox located?
Xerox is in Hamden, is their headquarters. So that's why I think we have a home team advantage with that. It's not legal here, as you know, the committee, everyone here knows. But yeah, so or if anyone has another better idea, I think, you know, it just seems like this would be the best idea. But if there's another one out there that I'm not aware of,
I was wondering, is that something that maybe a road trip, go up there and see them personally?
that could also help too. Personally, like I'm very close to having my my fourth child born.
No, it doesn't have to be you, it could be one of us.
Absolutely, anybody who can get in there, knocking on the door, and that'd be much appreciated. So yeah, for sure.
Okay.
You know, I'm curious, Victor, real fast, what else does Xerox do? Because I find it interesting that in a state where we don't permit red light cameras, there's a red light camera operator here.
So Xerox themselves, it's just a subsidiary company that's owned. The company is called Conduit, CONDUIT. Xerox is just their parent company. So Conduit, let's see, I think they were based out of a different state. Give me 1 second here. And can't find it at the moment. Yeah, they're not based out of Connecticut. It's just their parent company happens to be Xerox, so they just divvy up that way. I've done some work for Xerox, but the other businesses they have are, you know, their copy business or supply business. They own a lot. So hand scanners that you see a lot, barcode readers, stuff like that. But yeah, they're big parent companies in Hampton. So
I gotcha. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I was just curious because one, I thought it was the Xerox company that I'm thinking of is the paper company, right? The printer paper company.
It's the same company, yeah.
Okay.
I see where it was, a question was raised by Naisha McCauley regarding the subcommittee to reach out to other cities to learn the best practices in relationship to the vendors. Victor, has that happened? Reach out to other cities or Dave, get information from other cities? Because I learned, yes, Connecticut is not a camera and red light city. It's because of lobbying that's being done at the state capitol. So, but there are some cities that have managed to do so with the cameras at the red light. So have we reached out to those cities that have been successful and getting those red light cameras at red lights in their cities?
No. So I don't have any other contacts of anyone else in the other cities. All I have is information that's publicly available online. Unfortunately, those bits of information are skewed depending on which way you go. So they're either pro a particular system in where the funding comes for that pro article. It's always a little questionable, or it's against it because it failed catastrophically and it's publicly available because it was sensational.
I'm only repeating what Naisha had to say. To reach out to other cities who have got the cameras at red lights. Do we know where those cities are? They've got cameras at the red lights, Victor. And
Yes.
Dave, how can we find out?
Well, personally, I don't know. It's just information that's publicly available, so anything you can find online. And most of that stuff tends to be slanted either way. So
Okay.
It's a tough one
Okay.
right there. The other route I haven't had a chance to follow up on is reaching out to the police department, which I haven't had any luck with, nor have I had a chance to follow up this past month with their license plate, with their intelligence division.
Yes, yes.
I was directed to a particular sergeant there, Sergeant Mastriani, if I recall, but I could have that wrong.
That's right.
But
Mastriani.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's just a random voice that they get on the phone. I didn't get a call back, and I'm sure they're very, very, very busy. So I will try reaching out again, see if I can get in touch with them to try to, even though they don't have a red light camera system, they will have more of a in-depth working relationship with a service provider that scans license plates and
See,
provides some kind of those services.
I think we've got some real expertise on this task force. For instance, Ricky Martinez was a Hartford cop, retired for years. So he, even though he's not there now, I'm sure that Mr. Martinez knows somebody who to talk to at the cop shop. So because we have the expertise on this committee.
I can certainly reach out to him and and see who they work for or who they work with respects to that. We're also getting at the department where I am now. We're actually getting license plate readers, and I'm assuming that's what you're talking about, right?
Exactly. Yes.
We're getting them on our car. So tomorrow, what I'll do is I'll speak to that's on the state police side. I'll speak to them to see what vendors they use and see if we can reach out to them. Now, I don't know that the vendor that actually does the license plate reader would be the same as the cameras that are on the poles. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
It may or may not be. It could just be what I mean. So the vendor usually has access to the database. They're the ones who make the deals with the DMV or whatever to get that data, and they're just putting the pieces together, whether it's a scanner on a vehicle or a scanner on a pole somewhere. So, and they might go through the whole, different companies that do different things, but, it gives us some kind of, at least some info. It may or may not be the same. You're right. So that's
I'll reach out to I'll reach out to the both of them and see what I can get.
Thank you, Ricky.
And Ricky was a damn good constable on patrol during his years on the job.
Thank you, Lou.
How time flies.
I know.
Oh man. Anyhow, I'm sorry.
So what might be a good idea for your group for August, Victor, and again, this will be up to you and your committee members, is if Ricky could follow up with the HPD, he could provide some updates to your group on your next committee meeting. But then on your side, I think it might be worthwhile to just, look into some other cities where that have red light cameras, and that's public information, and see if who've been successful and who hasn't, and maybe have a conversation with which vendors they use. Even if you don't get all of that information next month, at least that will give you a place to start.
Right.
Thank you very much. We'll definitely do that.
I have an observation too. Let's say UConn or CCU, they have public safety committees, departments. They have reached out to me many times that they wanted to work with the community with public safety. I'm thinking, let's say we want to get an idea of how many cities out there that have red light cameras, who these cities are. We might want to tap into some of the services at UConn or CCU to help us get that information. I mean, they are interns and they want to, get credits for doing that work. But that's just an idea, I thought too, that if you need some extra help, we could reach out to UConn.
Madam Chair, that goes back to my question about sharing information across committees. On the information that, David, you can back me up on this, the information you gave to the selection committee, there was information in there that mentioned different outcomes and different communities in the country that have red light systems involved. shouldn't that information go to them also?
Yes, yeah, I think that, so part of the role that I played and that Adam will play is that after these meetings, you know, if we come across resources, we'll send that out to the entire task force. Council President has also wanted me to keep you all updated on issues of violence here in the city. So if we have a pedestrian collision that's reported here in the city, we get a report from HPD, and she would like me to start sending that information out to all of you, so that might help guide some of your discussion as well. So yes, Larry, I think that that's a really good point, and we will do that to make sure.
Because the one from Maryland was real extensive. It had everything in it that we might need, except the vendor's name, but at least it's a starting point. They showed how successful it was and how it wasn't successful in certain areas.
Well, that initial report we received that talked about what was done in Maryland, and I hear what you're saying, Larry, and we need to move post haste. But what I've learned, and I agree with everything's been said, the reality check for me was to find out how long this battle has been going on under the Golden Dome regarding cameras at red light. It's a very hot political issue, and I had no idea. So it doesn't make any difference except for the fact that it's back on residents in Hartford, people who have a vested interest in Hartford, to get something done like yesterday. And I feel like I want to participate. And like I've done throughout my professional life, go to the horse's head instead of the horse's behind to find out what's going on. So to find out how long this battle for cameras on red light has been going on in Connecticut, and it has not been successful due to lobbying by somebody. And so who's to suffer? It's about our quality of life in this city, plain and simple.
Well, and before we move on, I just wanted to say one thing. We're also limited on time. We've got 4 more of these meetings before we're done.
Ooh, man.
We have to submit, and I know that really makes you think. We have to submit our report to the council in December. That means that we've got a meeting in August, September, and October, and November. The November meeting is less about giving updates and more about solidifying what's in that report.
What's the report that's going to the city council? I got it.
The report goes to the city council. That report will be made available for all residents in the city of Hartford to view. The mayor's office is going to review that report. So we've got 4 months to really try to get some of these questions answered.
Right.
So
answers based on facts, not emotion.
Correct.
Okay.
Looking at a chart here, it looks like the first people that came up with the red light cameras or started utilizing them was New York, which is the closest place to us. Everywhere else is, down the East Coast, out west, but Florida, Virginia,
Pennsylvania has one.
they're probably the closest. Should we reach out to New York? I don't know exactly who, but I'm sure that's public information, and see who's actually in control of the cameras and so on and so forth. And who do you use, and why do you use them? And ask the questions that need to be asked so that we can get that information.
Makes sense.
Yep.
They're the city that's going to be the closest to us, and
Is New York City
relate to us the most. Yeah.
Right.
Very good. Very good.
So that'll be your team, Ricky.
That is my team. Yeah.
Okay. Any more discussion on the selection committee? Okay, we're going to move on to group 3, Additional Safety Measures Committee. And that is Trish.
Yes, Ms. Helen, we talked about the fact that unfortunately our group has not been able to meet, but we certainly will be ready in August. I thought I heard you say that my co-chair Claudine was on this meeting, even though she had emailed in advance that she wouldn't be. So just wanted to clarify, because it would be good to hear from her if she is in fact in attendance.
David?
No, currently on this meeting is Helen Nixon, Larry Williams, Ricky Martinez, Trish Torella, Lou Brown, Archbishop Dexter Burke, Victor Blanco, and Patrice Howell.
Okay, so Claudine isn't on. I'll be sure to reach out to her after this meeting, but I wanted for the, really for the entire task force to hear that one of the things that we've talked about is the charge to this particular committee is other measures that the city can take to reduce auto collisions and make our streets safer, which I think is right on. The question that I had was, at what point do we include stakeholders in the discussion versus waiting until we have the draft report to go? But I think before next August, we can certainly do some thinking and some researching on additional strategies.
Sounds good to me. I stress that I think we're tasked with the job also of uncovering the facts pertaining to cameras at red light, because it's I can tell you, it's a very emotional issue.
Yes.
In the city. And first thing people mention is about the quality of life in the city.
Yes.
And I'm not being a naysayer by no means. You know, I'm here to make it happen. And I was totally surprised by some things I learned on my own. But people were saying it's a no-brainer. But it's very emotional, but you just can't say it's a no-brainer. What proof do you have? What data do you have? What facts do you have to back up your argument? To have cameras at red lights. That's what I think that's what we're striving to do. That's just my opinion.
I agree.
I think that would be a very well-informed and effective strategy. And I'll, at the risk of repeating myself, because I know David and Ms. Helen have heard this, one of my concerns is on the timing of the process, because I was concerned that if we actually either invite other stakeholders, because we are stakeholders, Lou Brown said it very well, but if we invite other folks, like let's say NRZs or a senior center or whomever, to come in and talk to us about other public safety measures too soon, I'd be concerned that they'd say, what red light camera task force, etc. That yeah, please go ahead, Lynn.
And how come I'm not on that red light task force?
Exactly.
I live in the city and I see it, but we don't, I think David expressed our time frame, which is important.
That's what I'm going
and
to, yeah.
You know, to make my headlines, to make what I've got to do, to make we know we got to put a report together. And what month is that, David? You got to put a report together to send it to the city council?
So we'll probably start drafting that report in October.
Okay, in October.
At our meeting in November, we'll review it as a task force so that it's prepared for December.
That's what I'm saying. So we got a time frame now. And I just find it the emotional part. I can't tell you, and I just mentioned, and not just you've all probably had done the same thing. Talk to people about, I said, what? And why not public safety in our city, about the quality of life in our city? And I could not give them an answer. And because I don't have the answer either. That's why I'm saying I learned that this issue has been before our state lawmakers for years, up at the state capitol for years. And we don't, Connecticut is one of the states that don't have a camera at red lights. That's what we're dealing with. We know what we're dealing with. So this report that we're coming up with as stakeholders has to be based on facts, data, and solid, and maybe a minute or less of the emotion, because we live in this city. We live in this city. And I would assume that the fight up at the state capitol would be to get cameras without all the politics, if you will. I think the issue has been too politicized. And I think we better be careful, do our homework, and get it done for the sake of the city.
Well, and one of the questions that I've kind of posed to myself as I think about this, again, visualizing doing this. If I go to a meeting and somebody says to me, oh, we're going to do a pilot with red light cameras and they're going to be service providers and so on, immediately the dollar signs start to, float. And someone might say, wait a minute, no, I don't want a red light camera. I want you to do X. So one of the things that I really want to raise with this group is our communication strategy. I understand that we will be drafting a report for the city council because they are the ones who charged us with doing this. But where's the communication strategy with the community? And my concern is that if we start talking about this too early, as in, August, that it's going to become problematic. Lou, to your point, how come I'm not on that committee, and what else is it doing?
I can hear it now.
Yeah.
How do you call it? Who chose you
Yes.
to be on that committee? That's human nature.
I have a real
That's human
concern
nature.
about that. The communication strategy has to be, I think, really well thought out.
Okay, could I just, okay, I don't want to prolong this,
No,
but I'm looking at your committee, Trish, additional safety measure committee. So you're not really just looking at the red light camera. You're looking at additional safety measures. So let's say we don't do red light cameras. What could take the place of the red light cameras? I mean, that's the way I'm looking at additional safety measures committee, other than the red light camera. So I'm looking at what other strategies, what other solution we could have instead of the red light camera. You know why we're using the red light camera? Is there anything else that could take the place of the red light camera? And I'm looking at this committee coming up additional safety measures. Anybody else look at it that way?
No, Miss Helen, I
What do
think
you mean by
you're-
additional safety measures?
Yeah, you're raising, right, but you're raising a really, really important question that I first posed to Claudine. So the way I understand it, and I went back to read the resolutions, is that we have not been tasked with coming up with an array of safety measures and then having people decide. As I understand it, we have been tasked with what a red light camera pilot would look like. And so that, I think, is that's not a either or, that's a definite. And then we might have some suggestions about other safety measures, but I've never understood that we have the option of saying no to a red light camera.
Why not?
Oh, no, David needs to explain that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I think that the intention of city council was to develop a red light camera pilot program. But then as we were talking to members in the community, as we were talking to organizations like the ACLU, the NAACP, they expressed serious concerns about the equity behind a red light camera pilot program for a city like Hartford, where a significant portion of our residents don't even have access to stable transportation. There are unique challenges that our residents in Hartford face that other communities don't face, but that doesn't mean that, we're not able to take advantage of all of the different ways to protect their safety as they walk and bike around the city. So when we thought about how to structure these meetings, it made sense to us to form a committee that would focus purely on other measures that the city might take, so that if we don't end up having a red light camera pilot
Right.
program, because as Lou said, it's not really our decision, it's at the state level. There are other ways that we could benefit the city. And that could be in the form of roundabouts, light up, stop signs,
Yes.
you know, that could be speed humps. It could be a lot of different things.
Right, stop signs. So I
Okay,
thought,
well, I'm really glad we're having this conversation because that was not my understanding, and it really creates a different
Yes,
approach. I mean, please,
Yes.
I'm talking a lot, so please, you know, someone else on the meeting, because that's not my understanding of where we started. And maybe I just missed a few steps, but I think we need to be very, very clear that we actually have the option of saying no to red light camera. Anybody, please.
it's,
you know,
it's a major battle ahead of us.
you're just
Right.
saying if it doesn't work, if we can't get the red light camera, you're saying this is what we should do, but explain why that's going to be better than a red light camera. And could I just say, where I live right now, I live on the Hartford Windsor City line. I just witnessed about an hour ago a car coming speeding down Windsor Avenue into North Main Street, and a guy ran through the red light and hit this guy and knocked him over. The car flipped over
oh
upside
my
down.
goodness.
I just took pictures of it just about an hour ago. And that is right on time. And that's just getting ready to have a red light camera meeting. And the guy that was in the car, thank God that he got out. Okay. The car was bottom upside down, but he crawled out of there and he didn't have a scratch. So when the police and everybody came up, so what happened? He said, I was coming down Main Street, and this guy ran a red light and got away. I'm right here and I heard it. I heard everybody ran out, but the guy got away, but there was no one to testify that they saw it. Only the guy that was driving said that's what happened. The guy ran a red light and some kind of way, whatever happened, he flipped over and the guy got away. We don't know which way he went. Okay. But by the time I got up there, I just saw that one car flipped upside down. Okay. But it was a red light that he went through what he said. So in a case like that, that's why I'm looking at a red light camera. Because had it been, we had the camera in place, he would not have gotten away.
Teach, Ms. Helen. It's our age. Teach. I mean, that's
and I'm very upset about it.
That's the emotion
But
in it.
nobody could do anything about it. And the red light camera, that's the way we're going to have to go.
Well, listen, I've got to go to another Zoom meeting, believe it or not. But you just expressed how I feel about it. It's very emotional.
Yeah, very.
But we got to come up with the data that that pertains to the quality of life in this city.
Right.
We just got some clarity. I did, Trish, just like you. Alternative. I mean, we already got stop signs in the city.
Right.
But you know, it's like the Indianapolis Speedway in the city. I can give you the emotional thing of when people, and I'm sure Ricky has seen it, people drive one way in Hartford, and when it comes to the West Hartford or the Windsor town line, they drive entirely different. Entirely different.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, but it's about the quality of life in us. And Larry talked about the they don't stop at stop signs anymore. And when you don't, when you're a good citizen who abide by the law, it's nothing for when I go to a stop sign, it's nothing for a guy behind me to give me the finger and go around me.
Mm.
I become accustomed to that now.
Right.
Why should that be acceptable
In Hartford.
in Hartford?
Well, what I can tell you is that I have a business in Wethersfield. Some of my members initially were a little concerned about coming to Wethersfield because they didn't want to get pulled over in Wethersfield. So my response to that was, but you'll go to Hartford. Yeah, you can get pulled over in Hartford. They go, yeah, but they're not pulling nobody over in Hartford. They're way too busy. But you go to Wethersfield, and you get pulled over. You go to West Hartford and you get pulled over.
You go to
So
Windsor.
essentially, what that tells me is that Hartford, the dumping ground that they've created it, you know, they want to create it to be, it has been a free for all. People come to Hartford because they think it's a free for all. Nothing's being done. I can tell you that a lot of the cops, they were chained before, and this is stuff that I saw with my own eyes, you know, where they were not allowing the cops to do anything for X, Y, and Z reason. Then COVID hit, and they were saying, well, you know, nobody wants to get sick. Nobody wants to get sick. And then it just kind of became a norm that, you know, hey, if you run for the cops, you're not going to get stopped. And it's crazy that we're talking about this. I was at the Charles just before this meeting. And there was a guy there, and I went on my motorcycle, and he was showing me how many motorcycles he had. And he was telling me that, unbeknownst to him, he didn't know I was a cop. He was telling me that, you know, all he has are fast motorcycles, crotch rockets. And he was saying that, you know, these motorcycles, and the guy must have been in his 50s, and he's still riding that kind of bike. But anyways, he was saying that with these bikes right here, you know, you take off on the cops, and it is a known fact that cops don't chase you. So I'm going, well, I mean, cops will try to stop you. He goes, nah, you take off on them, they won't chase you. So I didn't say anything to him. I just kind of gathered the information. I looked at him and I go, yeah, this guy, at your age, you probably shouldn't be running from the police, but you know, it is what it is. So yeah, that's the mentality. You run from the cops, you're not gonna get stopped. You go around Lou, you give them the finger. Nobody's gonna do anything about it. And there's not enough cops to do anything anyways.
Listen, my good people, I've got to go to another Zoom meeting.
Well, we're finishing up now anyway. Are we finished? Any other discussions on additional safety measures? Okay, Trish, you said what you have to do. Trish, are you there?
I am here, yes.
Okay, I'm looking to be a part of your next meeting.
Terrific. Let me be in touch with Claudine. My understanding at this point is that Hyacinth Yenny, David Moran, and Claudine and I are the only current members. There's a question about William Clark. So I'm going to go ahead with the 4 that we know about.
Is David Moran there?
He's not on the call. No, I mean, he's not in the meeting.
He's a part of your committee.
Yes, he is. That's what I'm saying.
You might
So
want
I've got,
to call.
yes, I will reach out to all the individual members so that we can get moving on this.
Okay, very good. So make sure you contact me too, Trish.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes,
Okay.
indeed.
Are there any more discussions? David?
No, I just want for clarification purposes, because Adam's going to be taking the minutes on this meeting. We started the meeting at 6:18. And Ms. Helen, whenever you're ready to adjourn.
I'm ready to adjourn right now.
All right, so the meeting will be adjourned at 7 o'clock.
Okay,
Great. Thanks all.
thank you all.
Pleasure.
See you
Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good, folks.